So this is where we begin. So there's no real crazy introduction for this guy. This guy is a friend. Consider him a very good friend of mine, and also a mentor. Everything that I've known about photography and lighting and composition and the use of lighting, especially through my years photographing missionaries in the jungle, I owe it to him. Like this is such an amazing and honor to be speaking with this guy today, and his name is Cliff Mautner. For those who don't know, and especially here for the community. And this video is going to be pretty much available just for the members in this community. And we've had this community since the end of 2019, and we've grown exponentially. So it's been really an honor to be kind of serving you and bringing you all this content over the years, but not only as a creator, but also as a contributor to the channel, and all the moderators and all those involved as well. So without further ado, let's welcome this guy in. Cliff Mautner, welcome, my friend.
Thank you, Juan. How are you, man? Thank you very much. You know, I really enjoyed that, the Portuguese intro. I couldn't understand a word. So at the very beginning, there were these graphics. And then I noticed that there were, a bunch of cameras, a bunch of clicking. And then all of a sudden, there were these bags of money. as if photography is like the key to fame and fortune and bags of money. I thought that was really funny. So it was
it's definitely like that video has been a long time coming, but I couldn't agree more. I mean, photography, when I started photography back in 2009, I had no idea from camera to lens to light to nothing, and it was unbelievable. So my first goal when I was introduced to this world was I need to learn from somebody that was not part of that generation per se, that had been there, that had gone through all these phases, and we have a bunch of people here on Instagram as well. Yeah, man, thank you for the opportunity to be speaking with you again. It's been a long time, I guess, since that boot camp. But initially, I wanted to really kind of give all the members and whoever's going to see this video just an intro to you. Like, who's Cliff? Who's the guy behind the camera? And I know you've been in Brazil a couple of times, maybe, or one time. But give me a little bit about the man.
Well, first of all, I'm looking at this photographer myself, and I think it's out of focus. I think for some reason the camera is picking up my background, back focused. So I was going to set up my Z8 as a webcam, but I knew that we were doing it through this app, and so there was no way to set up anything through the webcam utility. But right now, I am back focused, folks. I am completely out of focus, which I think is incredibly ironic, given the fact that I preach skills. Who am I? Oh, I'm a father. I am a wannabe golfer. I play a lot of golf. As far as the craft is concerned, I take it very seriously. I've been a photographer for 41 years. And when I was in college, I've told this story a few times, and maybe it's out there, maybe it's not, but I was a junior in college, and I needed a job. And I looked online. No, I didn't. I was looking at a newspaper, back in 1983, and I saw an ad. It said, award-winning weekly newspaper seeks photographer. And they hired me because I had a pulse. That was the only reason. I had no experience. Jumping ahead, I worked there 2 years, and I learned a lot. I learned how much really I didn't know, and I was just kind of learning as I went. No formal training. Then the Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, needed an army of photographers to infiltrate their suburbs. And I was just, a monkey with a camera. They gave me a chance. They hired me. I did odds and ends, the athlete of the week at a high school, or, a football game, a baseball game, so many different types of general assignments. Nothing terribly exciting. And every once in a while, a decent feature, and every once in a while, I'd make a good picture. But as I gained experience, my skill set got a little bit better. Before you knew it, I was there 15 years as a photojournalist with the Philadelphia Inquirer. I shot 6,000 assignments with them in my career there. And then newspapers were slowly becoming extinct.
Absolutely, yeah.
In 1998, I got laid off along with many others, and it was the best thing to ever happen to my career.
Let me ask you real quick. So, before, because I want to get into the photojournalism, there's a lot to be said there, even from a current state where we are. I guess that term, for the photojournalism and all that, it's been kind of diluted over the years so much, and it's crazy. But I wanted to ask you, I don't know if I know this, but has your parents at all, was it like an involvement with them?
No, they wanted me to be a lawyer.
Wow.
So my major in college was law/justice. And by the way, I put my glasses on, right, to double check. I am indeed back focused. I am not in focus whatsoever. So I just want people to understand that I realize that there's nothing here for this camera to focus on. I am out of focus.
Is that a webcam?
It's just it's a new MacBook Air. It's brand new.
Oh, wow.
But it's, it's a little wacky. You, my friend, are perfectly sharp. So I just want to state that. I can sit here and I can put my hand there. Come on, will it pick me up? No, so much for eye. It doesn't have eye autofocus, obviously.
Maybe you need some light on you, maybe.
Oh, I look much better in the dark.
There you go.
Here, let me pump it up. Let's see. I'll give myself a little more light. Maybe
that's better. That's
maybe it's a little bit better. Now I just look grayer, but I think it's we'll see. Maybe it's okay. But so the long and the short of my career, because I don't want to make a light of it, but sometimes the right set of circumstances, things happen for a reason. All the cliches, Wendell. When I got laid off, there was it was a very good time for weddings being done in a photojournalistic style, and it just so happened that there wasn't much more authenticity than a photojournalist doing weddings. An actual photojournalist who did it for such a long time, entering the foray of weddings, and I was terrible at first. I'm not going to, kid anybody about that. I didn't know how to make women look beautiful, which was really important. I mean, obvious reasons. I didn't know how to pose groups. I didn't know how to light groups. My idea of lighting, I'm looking for something here. Well, my idea of lighting was basically an index card behind a flash.
Yeah.
That was fancy, but I slowly understood that using unconventional lighting methodology, using backlight, just finding different ways of using light was a way of telling a different story than what had been told in the wedding industry. And then capturing authentic, organic moments, which was, what I brought to the table without effort. Combining that along with a fashion sense, organic portraiture and things of that sort. Right place, right time. I'm not going to sit here and say, because I was so good, I found success. Right place, right time. Work ethic, I had that. Customer service, I took care of my clients, to the best of my abilities in an obsessive way. And then, it flourished for many years. And that brings us to today.
Yeah, as you talked about those things, and from that background, I know I had many of us, and I know many people, especially because of especially in Brazil, like the financial struggle and the different things and the pricing of things and or whatever. So it takes a much longer. It's just a lot longer process to get around and really be able to get to have a little bit more more opportunity per se, because
I want to be very clear. Today, the opportunities are scarce.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't do as well as I did 5 years ago before COVID. My best days from a financial standpoint are well behind me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to mislead anybody. There were years that were good, but mostly, I want to really emphasize this. I got into this because I really loved it. I didn't think that I'd be able to combine a good living. I'll never be rich. That's just impossible for a photographer, and with the exception of a few. But I did it because I never felt like drudgery. Sure, I was going to say it never felt like work, but no, that's a lie. It felt like work often. Multi-day weddings where you're on your feet 12 hours and popping Advil because of your knee and everything. It was rough, but I certainly, if you asked me, would you rather be doing something else? I would have said no. It was a great way to make a living for a very long time.
When you did, Cliff, when you did transition from your photojournalism sort of career, I mean, multiple, so many years, I think 15, 16 years there. When
17, 2 years with a weekly, and then with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
17 years doing what, very different type of work, but the essence of the work that you brought from that world into the wedding and portrait photography. How was that transition? Was that more like, man, I really like this. I really like the emotion. This is just a financial freedom kind of thing. Like when it popped in your head, like, I'm going to do this now. You know what I mean?
Financial freedom, absolutely not. Mainly because, again, I didn't make a lot of money when I was a photojournalist. I didn't make a lot of money when I first started. After I was laid off from the Philadelphia Inquirer, I was shooting commercial work. I was working for companies like Subaru and Comcast and, hospitals, lots of hospital work, lots of public relations, lots of check passing, lots of ribbon cutting. I shot anything that would pay me a couple dollars. And I would, this is not BS. I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and there were times I'd be printing in my dark room until 2 a.m. Putting prints through a print dryer. So it was rough, and I learned a lot. And I couldn't say no. I was very busy for a long time, but that was really hard. But jumping ahead, the photojournalism into weddings or commercial work in general. Here's the thing. I was a photographer in business, and I had to learn how to become a business person in photography. And it took me a long time. I was quite naive. I was quite inexperienced in the business world. I had to understand cost of goods, cost of sale, taxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Taxes here in the United States. There were so many things I had to learn. And as I said before, customer service was just as important as the photography itself, sometimes more important. The learning came with a price. I mean, it was, I learned a lot of difficult lessons, really over many, many years. I told the stories in the workshop that there were times I just cared too much about the pictures.
Yeah.
Which on a wedding day, if you care so much about the scenario that you're entering, and if the lighting's not just right, or if the compositional scenario is not right, and you want to make changes to it, sometimes it's annoying to the clients and people around you. But, being a perfectionist, it troubled me that I couldn't produce the best image from a situation. But displaying that passion, or quite frankly, I could use the word passion, but I'll also use the word displeasure. When I was unhappy with a situation, you try to change it, you're going to piss somebody off.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm sure I pissed off many venue operators, many mothers of the bride, when she said, "Do you want more light? Do you want me to turn the lights on?" I'm like, "No, Mom, thank you so much. I've got this." And she, there was I told this story, 30 years ago, or I've only been doing weddings, since 98. So that's 26 years ago. I was in a room, and I had some nice light coming in through a window, and Mom's like, "Want me to turn the light on?" I said, "No. And this beautiful light coming from window, and Sister says, "These pictures are going to be dark."
Oh.
And so I'm just, I can't win. So they liked everything once they saw them, but I wanted to wring her neck and kick her out of the room. But these are the things that you have to learn, and you can't do.
And to that point, right? Like, I wanted to mention this to you as well. Like, after I did my photography pretty much for about 10 years, right? Like, straight up. So I spent about 2 years doing everything I could possibly get my hands on. But then the families, the weddings, and the emotion and the relationships, and I would be selling every day. I would be selling, but then I really fell in love with the documentary and things that for different organizations. I was hired to go into other countries, and to your point about the dark light or this or that, but it really was something that prepped me for documenting a reality and what needs to be there. You can't change what's already happening. You have to know how to capture those stories as they unfold before you. And so those things really shaped me. And the reason why I say this is because one of the things that I've heard you say, time and time again, the difference between the being creative and you go out and you want to do all these crazy things and be these journalists and capture all these moments, but the simplicity, there's also the big difference there between this being creative and really just capturing what it is.
There's a the way I present it to photo students, and actually the way I present it to clients also, is I try to help set the stage for those moments to take place without staging the moments. So if, on a wedding, that is, so if there's a situation that I have a little lighting control, or I have some compositional control, I can choose my lenses and things are not actively running amok in front of me.
Right.
I have a little bit of control, but what I don't want to do is control the moment. So I'll control the lighting, I'll control what lens I'm using, I'll control the scenario itself. But the clients, the moments are theirs, they're not mine. So their interaction allows me to get the most organic process possible. But it just so happens that maybe the light is how I want it at that time, because I've put some thought into that. So, it's best for me to set those situations up and then let the clients just interact. Portraits of a bride and groom, I just put them in good light and good compositional scenarios, and their interaction provides images for me. And until I'm not producing photos, then maybe I'll prompt them.
How would you adapt, Cliff, when you do have the creativity is always kind of ready to go? You're like prepping the moments. You're well, you kind of overseen like a few things in the scripted weddings. I mean, we all know it's a very scripted event that you are part of. But have you had situations where you had to adapt, where you didn't have the option to set the stage, right? Like that it was always like this convoluted like situation.
Of course. A ceremony, for example, a reception. The only time that I truly have input on controlling a scenario is during, perhaps wedding preparation. The other day I worked for a law firm, and I was in, a law office, and I was able to control the light, but they were actually having a meeting, and they wanted that meeting documented so that they can show clients that they care and blah, 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 blah. So I had no control there. I couldn't set up any moments or really set any stage. Your journalistic roots just kick in. That's the short answer to it. You use your skills, you anticipate, and then when you cannot anticipate, you react. So it's this anticipation, reaction, see where the light's falling, maybe use some directional light in a certain way. And then sometimes serendipity happens and you just happen to catch a nice moment in nice light, and then you make a nice picture.
Is there a photo or a moment that for you is preferred if you can have that moment, if you are able to kind of set the stage? And what are those moments in a wedding?
I'll call them, I have always called them found moments. Moments that I find, moments that I stumble across, moments that I observe, moments that I anticipate, moments I react to. Without question, they are the most rewarding moments. My favorite photographs, people will be surprised, are not the portraits that I've created. Those are never my favorite. They're for my clients. They are not my portraits. They are my clients' portraits, where that's another lesson. It's a whole nother conversation, because, I make sure that those portraits are for my clients. It's not about me, showing off my skills. And I want the clients to love how they look and to love their portraits. The moments that I find, that's so much about them, but it's also rewarding because I've been able to find just that little sliver, that fraction of a second into their lives that, freezing that moment for them, they're going to remember, and it's going to have impact. So they're my favorite. The ones that I have not staged, I have not set up, that just happen. And, I'm there to grab it, whether it's one frame or a series of frames. And somewhere in that series, there'll be a decisive moment.
It's been a very common thing. I don't know about here in US but in Brazil, it's becoming very common to the use of creative lighting and all kinds of things that are more for the photographer, for show and tell, or for conferences and things like that, and winning awards. And it's been greatly overused and things like that, and that's why I think having the ability to talk to someone like you and to learn from someone like you, it's like you have a complete different mindset from this creative nowadays, this age, and this is like a little bit of a juicy part in the conversation here, which is more like the mindset that you see from your perspective on photography in general. Okay. I'm sure you see so much.
I'll go there. What I want to say, first of all, is there's nothing wrong with creativity and creative lighting. They are the tools at our disposal. I see some people doing it really, really well. I also see people using it frivolously. Translate that in Portuguese. I see people that are making images that are more about themselves. And then I also see people making beautiful images for their clients. And then there are images that are made for themselves that their clients love. So there's some real talent out there. And that brings me to something that we talked about, which are, these, I just happen to have, this is a Z6. I have my Z8 over there. I'm actually selling this because I'm going to get a Z6 III. So here's a Z6. I'm selling this puppy, but mirrorless cameras, okay? We have electronic viewfinders now. And we have electronic viewfinders. We've had them for quite some time, but we have electronic viewfinders that make these cameras so easy to use. You can look through these cameras. You can expose by flipping a few dials and getting a perfect exposure with ease. The cameras have eye autofocus. They can focus on someone's eye without fail at f1.2, which is crazy town. Okay. And I said this to you on the phone. If you miss exposure or you miss focus, you have to be an idiot to get that wrong, which tells me that the bar for entry at one time, when the first digital cameras became a thing, the bar got a little lower for entry.
Yeah.
Now the bar has been obliterated for entry. And so people are coming into this field, and this is not me being old and stodgy and get off.
It just is.
This is not. We have people in this field now that have no business being in this field, that are bringing the entire bar lower and lower and lower, which also brings the monetary value for photography really low compared to what it once was. And that's because the magic is gone. The magic of photography and a photographer seems to be dissipating, or now it's gone. Because at one time when I shot film, maybe they would wait 3 weeks to see those proofs. Okay?
Now it's immediate.
And now it's, even though with AI, and by the way, I'm a big fan of Aftershoot. I'll give them a shout out. Even though that I can get my wedding or whatever it might be, I did a commercial job the other day. I turned it around in a day, about 2,000 images, culled that down to about 600-700. I turned it around right away. Okay. And it was so easy. But let's say back in the day when it took, a couple of weeks to get some images to clients, if I just use my phone, or at a wedding when one of their guests uses a phone, they'll go right up to the bride. She'll look and she'll be like, "Oh, what does that do to the value of what we do?"
Oh, yeah.
It sticks a dagger in it, and then the magic is destroyed. The magic of opening up a box of proofs that are very beautifully packaged in an elegant way, and the client opens the box and starts looking through the proofs and relives that day. That is over. Okay. So what does that do to the value of the impact of seeing photographs that you hold in your damn hand for the first time?
Yeah.
That impact, there is no more impact because they've already been desensitized with 1,000 photographs from the iPhone. But what that does for me, instead of giving up, it makes me want to get better. It makes me want to give the clients stuff that they can't get from their friend's iPhone. And that's how I look at it. I am not going to sit here and say, "Oh, damn this iPhone," or "damn technology," or "Hey, mirrorless cameras have made me better, much better."
Yeah.
I love them. Okay. I'm a big fan.
So I was just gonna say, so with this, it begs the question of pivoting or adapting, right, to the new technology and new things, and with it, there's there are things to increase our value perception from the client's perspective, right? So for example, at the same time where photos are, produced almost immediately with Wi-Fi and things like that, it just jump into the phone and they start sharing, and the photo is not treated and all this stuff. But there
Right.
are things that I know for a fact that I've done even before, which is changing a little bit of how they receive those photos, or like just being having the initiative to produce something that they haven't seen in a while, right? Like right now, they're, as you said, they're used to the technology and phones and things like that. But also, I see the value, as you said, I see the value, the perception of the value from our work as photographers, being completely diminished by clients, by potential clients, by just the overall public. And
Mhm.
how do you pivot? Like, what's your kind of go-to pivoting to that scenario?
My go-to pivot is to diversify. I'm
Mm,
shooting things I haven't shot in a while. I want more headshots. I want more corporate communications. Okay, I'm going back to my roots, which
mm,
were corporate communications. Working in the corporate environment, or shooting, being a general assignment photographer again.
mm.
Okay, I don't really care about what kind of client wants to hire me now. I'll shoot it. Okay. Now I'm not as busy as I once was, and I don't really care to be as busy as I once was.
Yeah.
COVID sort of put a half a dagger in the photo industry,
Mm.
and with regard to weddings, that's for sure. Um,
I know you were shooting like 40, 50, 60 weddings a year at some
yes,
point.
I was in my busiest years,
Mm.
in the early 2000s. I was shooting over 60 weddings a year, um, which is insanity. But that was 20 something years ago. I was 20 something years younger. Uh, but it's just, they're just not available anymore, that many weddings. And I think my personal view of the industry right now is that um, COVID has taught people that they don't need to have big weddings. COVID has
Mm.
taught people they can do more intimate events. I don't think that the wedding industry itself is as healthy as it once was.
Mm.
So I think there are fewer weddings to be had. The wedding industry, weddings are down.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Young people don't have the money to get married, and have kids, and buy homes. And if I mean, my daughter's getting married next year, and it's going to be a beautiful, intimate event. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't found a photographer yet. Don't ask me about that. I'm still, my daughter's ripping me one because I haven't found somebody yet. But uh, it's going to be an intimate event. It's not
Man.
going to be this big giant thing. And if I had my druthers and I told her this, let me give you the money that it would cost,
Yeah.
put it towards a house,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. But I know wedding
The whole
photographers.
mental thing shifted, right? Like the
Yes,
whole thing. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
What's important,
Yeah.
but I know that wedding photographers are going to tell me to shut the hell up, but
Hey.
it's how it is. But listen, I've shot 1,200 and something weddings. I am really glad that I have been in this industry as long as I have. And I still enjoy shooting weddings. I'm still shooting them. I'm not done. I'm not retired.
I've
Um,
seen you be diverse, right? I've seen the Shaquille O'Neals, the all these other which is awesome. Like,
yeah.
and again, it comes back to the roots of portrait photography and like assignments and things.
Yes.
And that's like, so how has it been? And did you kind of officially kind of transition to a more commercial kind of?
Nothing official.
Okay.
It's never been anything official. I've always, if whatever type of client contacted me, I would
Right.
speak to them uh, you know, in terms of letting them understand that I would be able to accomplish their goals and do great work for them, and sell myself like I would with any other client,
Right.
whether it be a wedding or whatever it might have been. And really, uh, Joe McNally, who I very rarely do I do a podcast or an interview of any kind,
Yeah.
and his name doesn't come up because he is one of my mentors and one of my inspirations with regard to how a photographer should carry themselves, the dignity, the experience, just the generosity and the humility that
That's very
man
important.
has.
Mm.
Okay. I'll use his words. I'm a general assignment photographer.
Mm.
And what he likes to say is, I solve problems. So if you're in a situation, you see the situation, you evaluate the situation, you determine how to capture that situation with, a recall of a wealth of experience that you've earned over your career, and you apply it to that given situation.
Mm.
And so, it's really all it is. It's like a reflex. It's instinct. I don't have to go into a situation for one client and then another genre of a client. I don't have to sit there and shift gears, and it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
photography.
Mm. Yeah, that's so important. That's so important. And one of the things that I so appreciate from all these years, and I've seen countless videos of you teaching this, which is, you're not important, they are important, the client's important. When you go there, just don't be invisible, but don't be obtrusive. Don't be in front of them. Don't be this. Don't. And it's like, having the and I've been able to pass this on as well to some of the other photographers in Brazil. And it's three things. So sometimes for me it has been like to be prepped mentally, physically, and many times spiritually as well. For some of these locations, some of these weddings, or some of these events, you have to be at a different spot in your life somehow and kind of connect to whatever it is that's happening, because it's just not about you at all. It's about other people.
And the sometimes we're given a gift at a wedding where the couple is so special, or someone in the family is so special, or the relationship is so special. Something may happen during the day that is so special. I'm absolutely emotionally moved by certain things that I see at these weddings. And, it's almost like a baseball game. Sometimes you see something new every wedding. Every game you see something new. You can only hope for that when you begin your day and come away, enthusiastic and refreshed. And you don't want to go to a wedding or whatever it might be and come away like, God, I hope I never have to do something like that again. I mean,
Yeah.
Because that's the worst feeling. I mean, there have been some weddings like that, but very, very few. I still love shooting. I still love the challenge. I still love coming home and looking at my images afterwards. And, that hasn't changed. And if it does, then, I'm out. But no, that's still there. I still love it. I got a new knee 2 years ago, so I can be on my feet for pretty much unlimited periods of time without having to take massive doses of ibuprofen or Advil.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I used to take like 10 Advil in a day just to get through a wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, it was not healthy.
Let's talk a little bit about the boot camp, because that's my knowledge from you. That's my kind of go-to. And I know we talked about this as well. You do a lot of the one-on-ones now, or most one-on-ones.
Or if someone in Brazil wants to bring me down for 10 students, bring me down.
There you go.
Okay. I have been, spent time in Sao Paulo for Wedding Brazil, which was wonderful. And boy, they put on just an amazing show.
Yeah.
And I loved every minute of my experience there. But yes, the one-on-ones are, it's really an intense individual experience catered towards that individual's needs for photographic education. And the thing about the boot camp that I was so proud of is I would have 20 students ranging from photographers that were, just starting out, and I had 20-year pros, and I used to have to take that gap and squeeze it together and find commonalities and teach them all at the same time. So I had to bring the level up quite fast so that when I spoke and when I taught, they weren't left in the dust.
Right.
So, but with the individuals, the one-on-ones, I'm quite able to hit the ground running because I can pretty much sense where they are right away. And we spend a full day concentrating hard on getting them to another level. That's very cliche, but trying to get them to another level in one day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I will definitely put some details. And if you do have some details as well on your site, I think there's a couple of things or no.
I might not, I don't even know. Most of the time, Del, they email, they call, and it's not something I promote or advertise for, or listen, all those workshops, and I didn't.
I miss him. I miss him. I'm telling you that I miss him so much.
I did. I don't remember exactly how many I did, but it was from 2007 until 2019, right before COVID. And I had 953 students from 42 countries come to me.
Wow.
And, it was a little Monday evening reception. We worked 12 hours Tuesday, 12 hours Wednesday, and then the morning on Thursday, and everybody hugged and said goodbye, and it was wonderful. And the synergy was, for each and every single one of them, was fantastic.
Oh, I still talk to Jim. I still talk to Cecile.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We still connect. And I was like, hey, you should jump into this call tomorrow. And she was
That's
so
awesome.
excited.
What I didn't realize what I was doing, and I had no idea, I had no concept of what team building was, but that's essentially what I was doing during those things. Having people speak about their past and experiences and revealing very emotional details of their lives. And the trust that was built amongst that group was really beautiful. And each and every single one had a different synergy. But all 953 of those people, I believe, came in and came out better photographers. And that's, but it's the personal experiences that meant so much to me. The stories that these people told. Frank Danino, who had stage 4 cancer when he took my workshop a second time and then passed away shortly after that, said that he wanted my workshop to be the last, photography lesson he had. And, it that kind of stuff blows me away. So it was those types of people that touched me, people like yourself, and I could name, a bunch of people, but, the dynamics of those things were really interesting. I had one very quick story. I had an Orthodox Jew from California, and I had a Muslim gentleman from Saudi Arabia. Okay, and we're in the studio, and one gentleman says to me, "Cliff, it's about 10 a.m. Do you have somewhere where I can pray?" And I said, "Of course I do." And I took him, I lived in the studio at the time. I took him down into one of my daughter's bedrooms.
Yeah.
Seconds later, the other gentleman said, "Is there a place that I can pray?"
Wow.
And I brought him downstairs into my other daughter's bedroom. Here was a person from the other side of the world, a Muslim gentleman, the other side of the country, a Jewish gentleman, in this same building, in each of my daughter's rooms, facing the same direction, praying to the same God.
Oh my God.
Okay. Ordering the same halal or kosher meals.
Yeah.
Okay. They became fast friends. And I do believe they still talk today.
That is crazy.
That's freaking awesome.
Yes, it is.
They sat together, they ate together. And each time they prayed the same time, and those are the stories that I remember. It's not, oh, this person took a really nice picture of this.
Yeah.
It was the personal dynamics that I found the stories. I got a bunch of stories like that.
Yeah. Cliff, is there, as a close, is there anything that you would want, obviously, like different communities, especially our community, anything that you want them to kind of take away, as far as like even like a teaching thing or like any,
Well,
you know what I mean?
I do. And, I didn't know where you wanted to take this talk.
Sure.
And we really didn't focus a whole lot on photography. And, I'm happy to do that at any other time. You asked me very, very early on, tell me about you. And I mean, photography is not just what I did. It's kind of a big part of who I am. Being a Nikon photographer is also a big part of who I am. And the Nikon Corporation has been incredibly kind to me. I've been incredibly blessed to be a part of that family. And I do want to share the fact that the Nikon, especially Nikon USA, and listen, there's Nikon South America, Nikon Canada, or Latin America. I'm so blessed to be a part of that Nikon family. And, being a Nikon ambassador I am more proud of that than anything I've accomplished in my career. But I'll say, get your skill sets down. Okay. There used to be something, I would say skill sets before action sets, but we don't, actions aren't really a big thing anymore. But try to do things right. Try to obtain your own style. Stop looking at Instagram. Stop. I told you that in a workshop. So don't acquire your styles from emulation.
Yeah.
Develop your style from skills and creation, and fail. And every once in a while, you're going to surprise yourself and you're going to succeed. And then you're going to learn from both. And it's trial and error, man. It's, and lighting, light. And again, Joe talks about the language of light. Lighting is just about everything. It's the definition of what we do.
I remember the first photo you took at the workshop, and I think it was the second day or something like that. You took a photo in the studio, and then you just did like one single click, and I had never seen a photo with that light painting the dark like that. And it was and everybody was, oh my God, like we never seen that stuff. I
remember it. And to explain it to your audience there, it is the definition, okay, of using shadow as a canvas and light as the paint, and working with the juxtaposition of light against shadows, and being able to use and control slivers of light and quality of light, okay, over quantity of light. It's not much different than trying to emulate some of the great impressionists, Caravaggio, Rembrandt, not putting myself in those categories. I'm talking about being inspired by being able to put light where you want it. And don't be afraid to use contrast, and don't be afraid to light. And this is my friend Dave Black, a fellow Nikon ambassador. If you want to make a photo look interesting, light only part of it. More light is not better light. And if I can leave your audience with anything, it's that. It's light only part of it if you want to make a photograph look interesting.
That is so true.
And more light is not better light. Because I see, these people that you're talking about, they're using, 1,000 watt seconds of light for no reason, or they're using 4 lights. Why? Maybe one can do the job. Don't confuse yourself.
Yeah.
Simple sometimes is better. So, we have all this technology at our disposal. Doesn't mean we have to use it all.
That's so important. And again, I appreciate the, I wanted to keep the conversation very kind of loose. And
Sure.
I know there's a lot of photographers that are up and coming, especially in Brazil now. It seems that many it's like every day 1,000 photographers arise, and only, you know, like a handful kind of go above and beyond, and they want to learn more. They want to be able to kind of produce the things that you preach about so much.
There's some real talent out there, man.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm not saying the bar has been, you know, obliterated for people. I mean, there is some wonderful
Yeah.
work being
Yeah.
produced, some really good photographers, and
Yeah.
you know, the technology helps, but you know, there's some amazing work being produced, and you know, it's important.
Hmm. Yeah, Cliff, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor for me, and I appreciate your time. This is so awesome. I will. This is recorded. I will kind of
Great.
get you the link for the recording, and I'll post this into various different channels. I thought of actually writing a review. I don't know why I haven't done it before, of the workshop, even kind of punching the line on the one-on-ones and things like that, for on our site as well, if anyone is interested in kind of, you know, touching base with you. And but yeah, I wanted to really
Wonderful.
thank you, man.
Thank you so much. And you know, to your audience in Brazil, the thing that blew my mind when I was there was how hungry they were for photographic education. And
Oh man,
I
that's true.
was so impressed with what went on over there. And again, I would go back in a minute. So wonderful, warm, beautiful people.
Well, we appreciate you. You know, there's just a lot of people that know you from the international sort of, you know, exposure, obviously, but people who have been in Brazil at the Wedding Brazil. Wedding Brazil was so known, well known, and there are multiple events happening today. I think Wedding Brazil is no longer a thing, but it's been yeah, it's been great. So once again, thank you so much for the time, and yeah, we'll talk soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Del.
All right. See you
Take
later.
care now.
Yep. Bye.